So where we're standing here is just behind us is Rose Creek. And like we've already seen on some of the maps, and I'm sorry if you're hearing that, we have railroad construction going on behind us, which is partly why the tracks are here, because of the pathway of the creek making a little indentation. Today with us, we have Dr. Czarnecki. And could you introduce yourself and why you're associated with Rose Creek? Sorry about that.
So I teach at the University of Arkansas, Little Rock, as an adjunct professor in the Earth Science Department. Now, actually, it's now the Earth Science or Geology program. We got downgraded last year from a department to a program, but I'm still with them, and I teach hydrogeology in the fall, which was my discipline for 34 years with the U.S. Geological Survey.
I just started with Keep Arkansas Beautiful recently. The word trash boom was brand new to me, even though I'd seen them mostly associated with places like the Pacific Ocean.
Mm-hmm.
So can you backtrack a lot about and maybe tell us what this trash boom is or what a trash boom is in general?
Sure. So it's a floating device, or a device that's intended to float on the surface of a water body. You often see these types of booms associated with oil spills in a lake or a stream or the ocean, and they're designed to contain floating contaminants. In our case, the contaminants are bottles, cans.
Kind of like what we see here. Is this
right.
a good example?
Yes, it is. And in this case, we're getting a lot of natural organic debris from trees and bushes that would float, or during a storm, float on down to this point and get trapped by this trash boom. So what's useful about a device like this is that it makes it a point of cleanup rather than a dispersed distribution of trash and waste that would accumulate in the trees or bushes adjacent to the stream.
You mentioned it needing to be cleaned up. So how does that happen once this gets trash in it?
So you put on your boots, you grab a bucket, and you walk out and pick up stuff out of the boom. And I like these buckets. If I can hold it up so you can see it, you'll see this when I go out there. But this is a bucket that held the root ball of a tree, and so you can get these at garden stores, nurseries. There was one on Otter Creek that donated these, and
so where we're standing is now being developed as a city park. So how do you connect this trash boom to what's happening around us, really? How does this benefit anything?
well,
It's just in the creek.
so people don't like to come to trashy sites to recreate, period. And you can go along this creek in the park and walk right adjacent to the creek. And if this wasn't in place, there'd be more trash downstream. It doesn't block all the trash, but the people with the Rose Creek Initiative are saying that it's much better than it was prior to putting in the boom. So
really, it's maintained by volunteers that just want to see this place look a little better.
that's right.
Walk downstream, where would we end up and how far is that?
So we have done that. In fact, you can walk a trail. It's going to be part of the Southwest Trail, which will connect Little Rock to Hot Springs ultimately. But this spur will take you down to almost to the Arkansas River. You can get to Cajun's Wharf along that trail. And the creek changes character quite a bit. As you get across Cantrell or across Markham and Cantrell, the amount of vegetation isn't at all like this. You don't have the big trees, they're cut down. So one of the attractive features of this park are the big trees and the somewhat natural setting.
Right. So pretty soon, this water spills into the Arkansas. Is that right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And Fish Creek, is that the same? Where's Fish Creek headed after those trash pickups?
Well, it ends up in the Arkansas River as well, which ultimately goes to the Mississippi, which ultimately goes into the oceans.
Right. I was just with a student group, and fifth graders didn't have a hard time seeing a picture of this trash moon and making a connection all the way to the Atlantic Ocean in the Gulf of Mexico.
Good.
And so, what's needed for this going forward? How does something like this park continue to get better, and how is this included in that?
Well, this is only one example of where we can see the benefit of isolating trash in a stream. If we had more of these surrounding or in other adjacent streams, I've had people come up and they say, hey, what would it take to get this on our stream? It takes a bit of labor.
For the cleanup portion, right?
Well, and also the installation. As I mentioned, this is like the 6th iteration for this particular design. But I'm looking upstream in this pool, I'm seeing stone rollers and bluegills swimming around. That's a good sign. The water quality is good enough to support fish and other aquatic organisms. I think you had a picture of a snake.
Yeah, I live nearby, and we have a resident snake that likes to sun himself on top of your trash.
Well,
and we're assuming he's feeding on these luscious minnows. So.
Well, that's good. We won't interrupt his appetite, hopefully.
Fair enough.